Hey, so to solve this problem, cosine of theta divided by 3 minus pi over 4 equals 1/2. It helps if you know your basic trig functions, one of them being that the cosine of 60 degrees is 1/2. Now, if you didn't know that, you can use the following calculator buttons. When you know what the sine, cosine, or tangent equals, but you don't know the angle, you are going to find the inverse of that by doing second. Then you type in this case, the cosine of 1/2, and you would get 60. The problem is, we know that angles can be positive or negative based on a quadrant that they're in. Since the cosine is the x value, the sine is the y value, and the tangent is the sine over the cosine or the y over the x. So I know that all angles are positive in quadrant 1, which is where 60 degrees is located. And I also know that the cosine is positive in quadrant 4. So the cosine could be 1/2 in quadrant 1 or in quadrant 4. So if I'm 60 degrees in quadrant 1, it would just be that, because quadrant 1 angles are between 0 and 90. In quadrant 2, the angles are between 90 and 180, so we would have subtracted 60 to get 120, but we don't care where the sign is positive. If it were in quadrant 3, I would add 60 to 180, which would have been 240, but it would be negative there. And last, to find my other option, the cosine is positive in quadrant 4, so I subtract from 360 to get 300 degrees as my other option, where the cosine of theta would be 1/2. So the cosine of theta could be 1/2 in quadrant 1 or in quadrant 4. So then I just take the parentheses of theta over 3 minus pi over 4, and I go ahead and I solve that here. So theta divided by 3 minus pi over 4 equals 60 and also 300. Add pi over 4 to both sides since that's a constant. And if you want to work with angles instead of radians, pi over 4 is 45 degrees since pi is 180. So after I add 45 to 60, I get 105. It's the same equation on the other side, so 300 plus 45. And then to solve for theta, the opposite of divide by 3 is multiply by 3. So I get that my two possible angles for theta are 315 degrees or 1035 degrees. The only way this problem would change is if you had restrictions or limitations like theta must be between 0 and 180, then there'd be no solution. But if theta could be between 0 and 360, there'd only be one solution. So I hope that helps you.